let's talk about infinite banking. This is one of the doors that opened for me when I was young. A lot of the people that mentored me came from that world, and I I learned early on to be a stickler about truth and like say the truth and not be misleading. And I will say this: I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of phone calls because of this. I like a lot of things are used in marketing and they're half truths. And I realized that it's a really cool concept, and it's a really this like, like, let's look at the banks, let's understand how to do banking, and yet there's so many bad teaching out there, and there's a lot of marketing out there. And I'm not this holy person. I do marketing as well, so it's like I'm just wondering, you guys have taken pretty a hard stance, but you ultimately teach overfunded cash value life insurance, and you teach people how they can utilize that as an asset, but yet you also kind of attack in a way people that are super infinite bankers and some of the things that they teach. I'll let you talk about the things you like about that movement, things that you're maybe a little bit dislike, and maybe we can have a good conversation about it.
Yeah. So I wanna sort of split this in two areas at first, and we'll kind of go from there.
Mhm.
So a lot of the criticism that has come about just taking shots at various agents over the years really was born out of what we were seeing when all of this launched for me and then later Brantley with the Insurance Pro blog. We used to run into a lot of people who were being proposed or had bought life insurance policies, predominantly whole life insurance policies, that very much played up the idea of using life insurance as a cash accumulation play, but they made no effort to optimize cash value.
Hmm.
In fact, several years ago, there was a relatively young guy who reached out to us. He was working with a pretty big name at Northwestern Mutual, and was looking to buy a policy, and he discovered what we were talking about in terms of cash optimization, stuff like that, and confronted this guy about it. And this guy basically blew him off and told him, "You should buy what I've proposed to you because it's good for you." And when he asked him point blank, "Well, how do you design policies that you buy for yourself?" This guy told him, "Well, it wouldn't make sense for me to pay myself a commission," which was his admission that I do this the way that you want it, but I'm not going to do it for you that way. We used to run into so much of that caused a lot of frustration in our eyes. When it comes to infinite banking, a lot of people think that I don't like it. I have no issue with infinite banking. Um, I personally don't really get why it has a name, though I do understand that you have to lead people to some sort of natural progression to something, and in order to get them interested, sometimes you gotta put a name on it because that makes them stand up and take notice. Um, my issues for infinite banking, I I look at it as going sort of, we have Nelson Nash's original iteration of it, which was very much focused on business owner planning. Like, this is how people who own businesses can acquire financing that can be quite difficult to get from traditional avenues. Um, and that was, in my eyes, brilliant. It was a really great way to present life insurance as an option to those people, and harness a very critically important component of the cash accumulation aspect, especially for somebody who's still alive. And then we got the just awful sort of reiteration from Pam Yellen, which was all about, hey, you can do this, and it can be all about your unscrupulousness. And sadly, to me, it seems like for a long time, the infinite banking people wanted to put up a wall between them and the bank on yourself people. Because the bank on yourself people were selling vacations and cars and stuff like that. Whereas the infinite banking people were much more about the the institution of the idea as almost another economic school of thought.
Yep.
And in recent years, that's gotten a lot blurrier for infinite banking. And a lot of those people, they don't uphold that same sort of, we're not the bank on yourself people. And they seem to be a lot more open to blurring those lines and being okay with people buying policies for reasons that most people in finance would look at as being rather irresponsible as far as why you're going about this. So that's been more my problem. I also fundamentally, I'm not a believer in this idea that the banking system is ready to rob grandma from her last pennies and it is fraught with problems and set up to ultimately fail. If that were the case, I personally don't see where life insurance is the safety net.